I can honestly say that I've been working really hard at figuring out my 8090 problems, guys. I've tried a few things and I'm going to show you what worked for me. Hey guys, Mr. Master Tech here. I told you that the next video that I did was going to be showing you what I did to fix my 8090 problem from the previous videos that I've been posting. That thing has plagued me for the past couple of months, but I finally got it figured out, and I'm going to show you what I did, what shift kits I used, what I feel like worked and didn't work, and we're kind of just going to dive into it a little bit, and I'll just show you guys what I got here. Let's take a look. Okay, so originally when I started building these transmissions aftermarket, I always used this kit here, the Superior kit. I always felt like it came with, it came with a lot of stuff that we could put in the valve bodies. I felt like it worked really well until it didn't. And I also found that it comes with one pulse damper, and that was a problem. But the way that this pulse damper seals, it actually doesn't seal off the cavity for that. And this transmission that I just built, I started with the Superior kit, and that's where all my problems actually started. So after I installed that Superior kit, the transmission left, and it drove fine the whole time I drove it. The customer lived over an hour away, and every time they got home, it would develop a harsh, basically it would fall out of gear going from second to first. It still had a torque converter shutter after it got warm. And that was kind of where all my problems began, because that was the only kit that I knew of. I didn't know of any of the other tools or anything that was available for these transmissions aftermarket. I was a dealer tech, and we always replaced these valve bodies. And when I started doing these, all of this was still relatively new. So I didn't know that there was support for this stuff. So after some soul searching and some information diving and reaching out to a couple of people, I was pointed in the direction of this Sonnax pulse damper kit here. And essentially it's just a sleeve that you put down in the hole, and there's also like another pulse damper inside of it. And then there's a spring that goes in here. And then you have like this little cap that goes on the top here like this. Now, when I first put this kit together in there, I thought that this was going to fix everything. The truck wasn't even gone for a couple of days before we had issues again. And I found another problem that this caused that I really was not happy about. So in this transmission, on top of the pulse dampers, you have this pulse damper plate here. Now, this kit actually destroyed this pulse damper plate. Right here is where the top of this little pulse damper will ride so it can seal. And these holes were getting destroyed. And I didn't like that kit because of that reason. I ended up having to replace this plate, and I decided to go a different route with the pulse dampers on this transmission because I still had an issue, and I felt like it was still a pulse damper issue. So I'm going to show you what I tried next. Okay, so then researching on Transgo's website, they have an oversized pulse damper kit here. It's just designed a lot like the original ones, but they're bigger. Obviously you're going to have to ream it out. There is a special tool that is going to be needed to put these in, and I'm going to show that to you right now. Okay, so here's the part number for the pulse damper tool kit that you have to use for these. It's a great kit. It's really easy to use. I was kind of nervous at first. And it comes with this little jig that you bolt to the valve body with your alignment tool here. This is also a good tool to test to see if your holes are worn out. So this is just going to go in there, and then you got to bolt it down with these. You got two of these with the aluminum spacers, I guess you could say, so you don't damage the valve body. And it also comes with a reamer. And this is a really easy kit to use. Once I got everything together, it actually sort of fixed my problem, but also didn't fix my problem. So let me explain that. Okay, so after I put in the second pulse damper kit, it seemed like everything was fixed. I took it on several test drives. I didn't have any issues. Customer took it home, got it nice and hot. The next day, I got an angry email that their truck still isn't fixed. And basically what was happening was, so the torque converter shutter was gone, But when you would come to a stop, the truck would fall out of gear and then it would slam like you're being rear-ended. And now it was taking a lot longer for that to happen. So it was sort of fixed, but not quite fixed. So obviously we had to do some more research and test driving. And I found some more stuff that I feel like was better than the Superior kit. So here is everything the Superior kit comes with. It's got some springs and a couple of valves and stuff. But then I found the Transgo kit. The Transgo kit comes with a whole lot more stuff. It comes with all the shift valves and everything. And these are kind of interesting because you have to put a scarf cut ring on them and freeze them. So that's pretty promising. But also in this kit, in the instructions, if you have the late style S4 valve here, you actually have to buy another part. So there's another kit for the late style S4 valve. Also, you have to buy another reamer. So this is for the 8L90 S4 late valve because we have to ream that hole out. And it says here that they've seen that valve wear out in lower mile units as well. So that was something that kind of caught my eye. And looking at some of my hydraulic circuits and stuff, I felt like I had an issue with the S4 circuit. So I bought this kit. You also are going to have the AFL G2TK reamer for some of the valves in this kit right here. It's a pretty versatile tool. You can use it for a lot of other transmissions. I originally bought it for a 6T75 that I did. And these tools are like really easy to use. They come with guides and everything. And after I got this kit put in, we drove it for 2 hours and I never had any issues out of it. But I was kind of feeling like we had a heat issue. So once the transmission was cold, it would shift fine. And then once it warmed up, everything expanded. I was losing fluid pressure somewhere. And I'm pretty sure the S4 valve circuit is where I was having my issue. But we reamed out the S4 pulse damper, and it improved the problem, but did not fix it completely. So that was kind of like the fight that I was fighting with this transmission. Another thing that I liked about the Transgo kit over the Superior kit is they actually have you ream out the converter feed limit valve and the AFL valve. So you're going to be reaming those holes out and putting oversized valves in them. And that's kind of just something like on all of the GM transmissions that pretty much goes bad. And sometimes putting, a redesigned valve in there is not going to fix the issue. You have to ream the hole out to fix it. And if any of you guys have any experience with the 4L60 transmissions, you understand what I'm talking about here. Another thing about the Transgo stuff that I love is that they come with a lot of really good information. And they label everything, the instructions are clear, and it comes in the package, whereas like the Sonax stuff, you have to go on the website and look everything up. So this is something that I like over the Sonax stuff. There's a lot of really good information. They give you torque specs. There's just a lot of good stuff in the Transgo parts here. Now, for a long time, I've always been a Sonax part guy. It's just this was what was quick and available. I didn't have to piece things together. I would like to try the Sonax parts on these valve bodies, and I'm probably going to do that next. But for now, the Transgo kits are where I'm going to go until proven otherwise, unless I find something better. But I like this Transgo shift kit here that we got. It is an SK 8L90 right there. And it seems to cover all of the bases in this transmission. I'm not going to be using the Superior kits anymore because I didn't realize how inferior they were. So that's my take on it. If you guys have ran into anything like this and anything on the 8L90s like that, let me know in the comment section. And I will talk to you guys on the next video I decide to make. See you later.